Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance here in the San Gabriel Valley today, joined by the president of the San Gabriel Unified School District. His name is Dr. Gary Scott. And so I'd like to speak with you about English language learners in our public school systems. What can you tell us about their numbers, both in San Gabriel, your district, and statewide generally?
Statewide generally, it's about 22% as identified. Those are non-fluent speakers. Excuse me, in San Gabriel it's very similar. What we, I think, need to understand about English language learners is that it's not just sufficient for them to learn conversational English. They need to be prepared to learn, to understand, to synthesize new concepts, and then to be able to demonstrate some mastery by communicating back to us in English.
So here's the challenge, though.
Okay.
We have the SBAC test, which is the new standardized test. And what we know is that English language learners continue to struggle. When we look, for example, at English scores for English language learners, they are low, whereas fluent speakers meet or exceed expectations at about 56%, English language learners at 13%. In math, which arguably there shouldn't be a huge gap because numbers are numbers, you have fluent English speakers meeting standards at 42%, learners at 12%. Mm-hmm. And so what do those numbers mean to you?
I think a couple things, because there are two issues. Math is very interesting. We have students that will come to us who are highly competent in math.
Right.
They have math skills. They know how to do math. But when we sit them down on the SBAC and all of the prompts are in English, and it's not clear to them how they're supposed to respond, or they spend all of their time trying to decipher the instructions or the directions that they're receiving. So their content knowledge is really not well represented in that kind of an assessment because they're not able to comprehend what it is we're asking them to do.
At the same time, another challenge has been presented. So the Department of Justice came in to the state of California, and they determined, this was their allegation, that while California was effectively collecting data on English language learners, California was not acting on that data. And as a result, there was a settlement agreement issued between the California Department of Education and the Department of Justice federally. And now California must notify school districts within 60 days if they're failing English language learners. And if they are doing such, they need to follow up and they have monitors in place. What's interesting is that the monitors have been asked to track 5 school districts. Mm-hmm. I think it's 5. One of them is yours.
Yes.
Out of over 1,200 districts.
1,200 districts.
One of them is San Gabriel. Why is that?
It's fascinating to us because the process is random. Now, literally random. It is the state of California was kind of gigged by the federal government for not providing more rigorous monitoring data.
Right.
Districts that receive title money, which is federal money for support. Title I, of course, is for low-income, low socioeconomic. Title II or ADA. Title III is English language learners. Right. And so those federal dollars come through CDE, through the California Department of Ed, and are dispersed to districts. The federal mandate says you need to demonstrate to us that you're using these funds effectively. So the question is why San Gabriel? Why any of these districts?
Yeah, it was San Gabriel. It was Burbank next door.
Sure.
Santa Monica, Malibu, also not far away. Menifee, Union in the Inland Empire. I guess it's 6 total, and then 2 in Northern California.
So the process has been literally random. If you call CDE, and which we have, and said, is there something specific here? I mean,
do you know something we don't?
Can you identify something? Now, one specific element in our district that we did identify is that the CPADS, which is the reporting, it's...
is it graduation rates?
No, CPADS is the Certified Public Accountants Directory Services. And that is the standard format that districts use to report their student progress and student demographics.
Got it.
When you look at the CPADS report for San Gabriel Unified School District for last year, it shows a graduation rate of English language learners of 2%. Well, that's wrong because the actual number is almost 97%. When we look at the student progress and student success rates of EL students in San Gabriel, we exceed not only our surrounding schools, all of LA County, but we far exceed all of the state as well.
So you just got lucky.
Well, we did. I mean, part of
You
it,
won the lottery, and
almost,
this time you didn't want to.
It almost seems that way. So we know that FPM, Federal
Right.
Program Managing, which is what we are going to be going through this year, some districts might have 3 years consecutively. Some districts might go 10 years and not be monitored at all. No one seems to have any clear criteria on what triggers it. They claim it's a random sample.
But let me ask you also, in the background of all of this is the local control funding formula, which provides extra funding both for individual students and as a concentration grant if a school district has 55% or more that are either foster care, economically disadvantaged, or English language learners.
correct.
Do you meet that concentration grant? Are you getting that additional funding?
We do get that extra funding we do.
So how is that going? I mean, I would think that you would be in a better place than, I'm guessing,
Sure.
Santa Monica, Malibu, which
Right.
my guess is, I don't know for sure,
Sure.
probably doesn't hit 55% in those three
Right,
categories.
right.
I could be wrong.
I can only cite our data report for last year, and I can cite the student progress of all of the students across the district, including all of our subgroups.
Right.
And so we meet or exceed all of the standards for our subgroups for our LCAP, and we far exceed all of the standards and expectations for our ELL.
Let me ask you, I learned about San Gabriel being on this list of 6 through the press. That, the print press.
Right.
I guess I'm part of some press, I don't know which one.
Sure.
I assume that the residents in San Gabriel did the same. I jumped to the conclusion that you did something wrong. Sure. It appears that you did not. I can only imagine the flood of calls that you may have received.
Here's the other problem, and that is we learned about it through the press as well.
Oh my.
Our superintendent, our deputy superintendent of educational services, the board, none of us was privy to this. There was no communication from CDE. There was no communication from anybody at the federal level. It was. And it was, somebody even called, I guess it was a fellow superintendent who was an associate of our superintendent, Dr. John
Did you see?
And said, and same thing, dude, what'd you guys do?
Exactly.
And so, unfortunately, the inference and the implication is, ooh, you guys screwed up. You're only one of 5 or 6.
But I think about San Gabriel.
Sure.
Your parent body, my guess, is active. Were they aware? I mean, did you? It didn't.
None of us was aware of this. Literally.
No, but once it hit.
Oh, once it hit.
Did you start getting flooded by complaints?
Not so much. I don't know that it's the kind of reporting of information in the press that parents would note.
I understand.
We did have a few parent inquiries, mostly from our PTSAs.
Right.
We did have inquiries through our site principals, but
let me ask you in our final
to
moments, could it be in the end a blessing in disguise that maybe you can turn your attention to this question, even though you may have good scores? Could it be a blessing?
It absolutely is. And here's the point. If our students, it's not satisfactory for our students to have conversational English and be able to communicate on the playground. They need to be able to learn and think and to be able to communicate in English. Our instructional program is in English. And so our goal is have our students be able to learn in English.
Let's have you back.
Okay.
He is Dr. Gary Scott from San Gabriel Unified. He is the board president, Brad Pomerance here, Charter Local.